ESPN says Kyson Brown could break out for the Sun Devils in 2025. They are absolutely onto something.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
As part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Shout out to my everydayers who are here every day, and thanks to all of you for making us your first listen of the day. Today's episode is brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. Go to 5hourenergy.com and find over 15 flavors to choose from. If you need one now, you can get your 5-Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. Stock up today and stay energized. ESPN, they're thinking Kyson Brown might be a breakout candidate for the Sun Devils. I think that they're absolutely on to something. How good could the combination of him and transfer Kanye Udoh be? And how good could this run game be as a whole in 2025? All of that is coming up on today's episode. Kyson Brown, this kid's good. And this is someone that we have talked about many a times on the show. This is someone that I have mentioned could be the future of ASU's backfield. And prior to the transfer of Kanye Udoh from Army to this program, Kyson Brown was a player that I said I trust to become the feature back for ASU in 2025, potentially beyond if he were to play all 4 seasons and stay for 2026 as well. I am big on Kyson Brown, and there's a lot that he has shown in a minimal amount of time too. Like in 2 years and in a reserve role, we have seen Kyson Brown be able to come out and demonstrate the ability to be a great change of pace back. We've seen some prowess from him as a receiver. There's some downhill running. There's some finesse running. There's a lot here that he has advertised for me to believe he can be a number 1 back for ASU. And ASU is a team that really likes to run the football. And over the last several years, and dating back to when Shaun Aguano took over as ASU's head coach in 2019, we're going to talk about that more in just a second. ASU has just had some very good running backs. And I think that Kyson lines up to be that next guy. Going to ESPN and what they had to say, Eli Letterman put this in a what would you call it? Like a group, not a group, a round table, I guess, like a round table ESPN article where they got a bunch of their reporters and analysts, and they went through the top 25 teams and said, here's a breakout candidate for each team. Eli Letterman said this for ASU, who is ranked 14th behind BYU and Iowa State. Think of that what you will. Here's what he had to say, direct quote here. I'm going to read you the entire thing, and then there's a couple things I want to go back over throughout the show. All right. From Eli Letterman, quote, replacing the 1,711 rushing yards and 21 touchdowns All-American running back Cam Skattebo produced last fall won't be easy. The portal edition of Army transfer Kanye Udoh, 1,117 yards and 10 touchdowns in 2024, is promising for the Sun Devils' 2025 backfield, but the 293 carries Skattebo logged last season are more than Udoh has had in 2 years at Army with 278, meaning ASU probably will have to spread its backfield snaps a bit more in 2025. If that's the case, third-year rusher Brown could be in line for a bigger role this fall after recording 351 yards and a pair of scores, averaging 4.81 yards per attempt as a sophomore. Brown's ability in the passing game also distinguishes him alongside Udoh, who brings a grand total of 2 career receptions in 23 games, operating in Army's run-heavy offense. That's everything that he had to say there. There's a couple things we're going to go back on as we talk, but I think that that's a pretty fair analysis. You are having to replace Cam Skattebo, arguably the greatest running back in program history, who is coming off of arguably the greatest single season in program history across any position. You could stack it up there with Terrell Suggs' 24 sack season. You can stack it up there with Jake Plummer's Heisman finalist season in 1996. Like, this was a season for the ages that Skattebo had. Replacing it, it's something I've said before, you have to do as a collective in the aggregate. You need the whole room to be able to step up. Not one single person can do that. But I do believe that Kyson Brown could be the main focal point of how you replace that production. I think Kyson Brown could be the main focal point of this backfield. And I am a Kanye Udoh guy who we have spoken with previously on the show. If you want to get to know Kanye Udoh, go and look that show up. You can go on YouTube. There is a whole separate playlist for player interviews, and he's in there. He should be the most recent one. I like him. And there's a lot that I see him and Kyson being able to complement each other on, which is coming up later in the show. But I want to focus on Kyson. We've set up a lot now. Let's dive into Kyson. Because what I love about Kyson is there's a little bit of everything that he brings here. He is a good runner, and he's got that skill set to be a downhill runner. He's got that mentality of, I'm just going to run you over. But yet, I don't watch him and see this power back. Like, he's not this bruiser who that's all he does. Like, I think there's more here for Kyson Brown, who can put the shoulder down and make you hug the turf, but he has more to be able to continue building upon. And I think that that's what we're going to see from him this upcoming year. And one of the not so much a bright spot, but like a blessing in disguise last year for ASU was Cam Skattebo missed the game against Central Florida due to injury that he got against Oklahoma State the week before. Kyson Brown got to start. He had 18 carries for 73 yards, 4.1 a pop. He also caught 3 catches for 21 yards. That's not bad. That's for your first career start, and considering that this first season, or not first season, but this was your first season where you were much more of a featured option compared to previous years. In his freshman year, he was the third, maybe even the fourth option at time. This year, he was primarily the number 2 back. But getting put into the starting role, he looked good. And that's one of the reasons why I was ready to buy into him. It's there. I mentioned Shaun Aguano. That's where we're going to turn a lot of the focus here, because if there's someone that is going to get the most out of Kyson Brown and be able to take Kyson Brown to that next level, it is Shaun Aguano. If you are not familiar with the amount of success that he has had during his time with ASU, allow me to fill you in. Since 2019, when he took over as the running backs coach, there has been a 1,000-yard runner in 4 of the 6 seasons. The 2 exceptions are 2020, where ASU only played 4 games in a COVID-shortened year, and 2023, Cam Skattebo ran for 783 yards and 4.8 yards per carry in a messy year. Every single one of those years, one of your running backs had double-digit touchdowns, with the exception of 2020. And I mean, even then, Rachaad White had 6 touchdowns that year in 4 games. Not bad. Every single one of those years, you had a running back that finished top 5 on the team in receiving yards as well. And Cam Skattebo was number 3 in 2023 and number 2 this past season. And Rachaad White has been one of the better backs. Oh, by the way, of those 4 1,000-yard runners in the 6 seasons, 4 different backs. Eno Benjamin, Rachaad White, Xavier Valade, and most recently Cam Skattebo. He knows how to work with guys. And they each kind of brought their own different attribute to the table. All 4 of them were good pass catchers, though. And that's an area that I think Kyson Brown could excel in this year. But you've got a coach who knows how to get these guys to break out. All of these guys, by the way, had at least 3 seasons of college football under their belts. And all of these guys that have had the success under Aguano had some time developing and getting better. And Kyson has had that time. But unlike these other guys, Kyson has had the most time to work with Shaun Aguano. Benjamin only had 1 year with Shaun Aguano. Now, he was coming off a 1,600-yard season, so it's not like he had a lot to work on. Rachaad White had 2 years with Shaun Aguano. Xavier Valade had 1 year. Cam Skattebo had 2 years. Kyson is going into his 3rd year working with Shaun Aguano. There is a great opportunity right now for Brown to get the most out of the coaching and the training that Coach Aguano has brought to the table and that Brown has soaked in and learned to be able to put it all together on the field. This is a huge opportunity. And it's one that I think we're going to see Kyson Brown very much capitalize this year for ASU. This is going to be a really good season. There's a reason why Eli Letterman and some other people, I imagine, or I hope at least, are believing in Kyson Brown to become a breakout kind of player in 2025. Now, he's going to have some help because we can't forget about Kanye Udoh. And man, those two, they're going to form a heck of a duo in 2025. Maybe the best in the country. That's coming up next. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Time to talk to you about our friends over at Nissan. We're all about the stats, and because numbers don't lie, it's one of the reasons why when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, the numbers are on an MVP level. With the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds, it can quite literally carry the whole team, plus the gear, wherever you go. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with room for up to 8 people, the Armada Pro 4X is built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take your adventures to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Learn more at nissanusa.com. Let me also tell you guys about our friends over at 5 Hour Energy, because daylight savings has snuck up again. And if you're feeling like you're losing that hour of sleep, for my people that aren't in Arizona, 5 Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you just need that little bit of boost to get you through the day, and I know that I'm going to need that for myself today. Where it doesn't matter if you're staying up late for the NCAA tournament like I am. It doesn't matter if you're trying to squeeze in that round of golf after work, or if you're just trying to keep up with a busy day, because 5 Hour Energy gives you a quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. Like I said, I've been staying up for the tournament action, which is one of the reasons why I have been making sure that I have that Tropical Burst ready to go in my fridge so I can pop that bad boy open and be ready to stay up to date with all the craziness that's going on in March Madness. If I'm at a game, if I'm traveling, if I'm in the office, if I'm at home, 5 Hour Energy is easy for me to grab, keeps me refreshed, and you can always get it at your local grocery or convenience store too. But if you head to 5hourenergy.com, you can find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, peach mango, and my favorite, Tropical Burst. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack and have it delivered right to your door. Again, if you need one now, grab a 5 Hour Energy shop at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today. Stay energized with 5 Hour Energy. Thanks, as always, for making Locked On Sun Devils your first listen of the day. And a shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Kanye Udoh is going to be a force for ASU this year. And it's one of the reasons why Kyson Brown could be in for a heck of a year, is because those two will be able to form a dynamic duo. So good, in fact, that they might be one of the best in the country. They might be the best in the Big 12. Let's go ahead and start right there. How good could this duo be, man? There is so much potential with a combination of guys that complement each other well, but also are just very similar guys. You look at Kyson Brown, you look at Kanye Udoh. What do you notice? You notice guys that are built very similar to each other. First of all, Kyson Brown, 6 foot, 200 pounds, and Kanye Udoh, 6 foot, 215 pounds. They have that mentality of, I'm going to put you in the dirt and you're going to feel it when I put my shoulder pad down, but I'm going to make you look stupid too. Like, I'm not just a power guy. Like, I'm going to put my foot in the ground and I'm going to make a guy miss. I'm a one cut guy. I can make some moves in open space. They've got that ability. Like, they're not this one direction north south kind of runner. There is potential for both of these guys to absolutely excel this year. But they do have stuff that, one of them is better than the other in, or at least one of them's more proven than the other, right? But proven's also kind of a loose term because Kanye Udoh has, 278 career carries in 2 years, and 179 of them came last year. Like, it's not like he has been a full-time featured running back. We have a very good idea what he is, but there's still a lot to continue unpacking here with him. But here's what we have seen so far. We have seen that Kanye Udoh is someone who finds the end zone. He had 10 touchdowns this past year on 179 carries. He did have a catch for what it's worth, but we'll talk about the receiving in just a second. So he finds a way into the end zone. He also was a high yards per carry guy. 6.2 yards per carry this past season. He ran over 1,100 yards. 5.9 yards per carry in his career. Put the ball in his hands, good things are going to happen. And for his career, he's getting you a first down and change every 2 carries. Let's look at Kyson Brown. What does he do really well? Well, it's someone that we're waiting to see how he looks in a bigger role, but I don't think he is too different from Kanye Udoh. Let's look at Udoh's 2023 season. 99 carries, 524 yards, 1 touchdown, 5.3 yards per carry. That was rotating in with Army. This past season, Kyson Brown as the number 2 running back for ASU. 73 carries, 351 yards, 2 touchdowns. So 4.8 yards per carry compared to the 5.3. It's not super different. And I mean, it's comparable because Army gives 50 different guys a carry every single year, whether you're a running back or you're a punter, it feels like. So I don't think that we are completely in the dark with Kyson. We're just waiting to see what he does in a bigger role. But here's what I know he does is he catches the ball well. I understand he's only got 22 career receptions. He's turned it into 238 yards in the score. This past year, 13 catches, 189 yards, including a 68-yard touchdown. His first catch of the year, by the way. But he looks like a natural hands catcher, and he looks like I said, like he can make a guy miss in space, and he's got that breakaway speed. I don't know if he's a track star, but I do know that game speed, when the ball's in his hands, he's running as fast as anybody else. There's stuff there, man, that Kyson Brown brings to the table that's exciting. And the potential of Udoh to be your touchdown guy, but then Kyson Brown to be kind of your do-it-all guy, right? Your all-purpose guy. That's an exciting thing. And then to be able to split the touches between those two. We'll talk about that a little more towards the end of the podcast. That's an exciting thing. Something I want to point out that Eli Letterman brought up as well earlier in his quote from the ESPN article was that Brown's ability in the passing game also distinguishes him alongside Udoh. Direct quote right there. And that's why I think you could end up seeing Kyson as the designated pass catcher between the two. If you're looking for how these guys are going to complement each other, it could be a pretty close 50-50 split when it comes to carries. I do think someone will have a little bit of an edge. Again, that's coming up a little bit later. But Kyson is going to have first dibs on receiving opportunities ahead of Udoh. By the way, I don't think Udoh is a bad receiver. I just think that he played in an offense that didn't throw the football a lot, let alone to the running backs. I don't have questions about Kanye Udoh being a pass catcher, but I do know that I've already seen what Kyson can do in this offense as a pass catcher. So I know what's there, and I know that he's good. How good could this duo be? One of the things I mentioned, maybe this is the best in the Big 12, maybe this is one of the best in the country. Could this be the best duo that ASU has had since X year? Well, I had to look back. And we talked about with Shaun Aguano since 2019, a lot of standout performances. Most of the years, it was one guy. And you had solid guys behind him like this past year. Like Kyson Brown still ran for 351 yards, but Cam Skattebo ran for over 1,700. In 2021, Rachaad White went over 1,000 yards. Chip Trayanum, if you remember him, ran for, was it 500? It was between three. I want to say it was 500, and then Daniel Nagata right behind him, another throwback for you, ran for 300 some odd yards. Like, we really haven't seen too many backfields with Shaun Aguano that have seen like that 50-50 split. This is going to be the year. Like, if it's going to happen, it would be this year. But if you're looking for like what's the best potential here, how good could this duo be? You start with 2021 and you go with, could they be as good as Rachaad White and Chip Trayanum? The answer is yes. I think that's the floor. Could they be as good as Demario Richard and Kalen Ballage back in 2017? In case you forgot that season, they ran for right around 1,700 yards combined. Demario ran for 1,027 by himself. Kalen Ballage had 669. 12 rushing touchdowns for Demario and 6 rushing touchdowns for Kalen. I don't see why Kyson and Kanye couldn't be in that ballpark. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think they could be as good as that duo? Let me know in the comments. Speaking of this duo, how good can they be? How good can they be across the nation? It's coming up next. It's the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
One last time, thanks as always for making Locked On Sun Devils your first listen of the day. Shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Who am I thinking? Who am I kidding? It's not the last time, not even close to the last time. How good could this run game be? Well, we talked about how they're going to be good. We talked about, could they be one of the best that ASU's had since X amount of years? How good could they be in the nation, though? How good can they be in the Big 12? In terms of the Big 12, they might be the best. Now, I can tell you I don't know all of the other combinations that are in the Big 12. Here's what I can tell you. The Big 12 lost a lot of running backs. Cam Skattebo is gone, yeah, but you also lose DJ Giddens from K-State, RJ Harvey from UCF, Corey Kiner from Cincinnati, Taj Brooks from Texas Tech, Devin Neal from Kansas. I know there's other guys I'm forgetting as well. A lot of running backs that were hyper productive in the Big 12. Ollie Gordon at Oklahoma State, even though he was not great last year. They're gone. There's a lot of question marks with the running back position going in the next year. And ASU's got questions. How are you replacing Cam Skattebo? We're going to find out. I have my idea. I know a lot of people across the country are wondering that, though. That might be the biggest question ASU has across the nation. But I also think that ASU is set up for more success than the rest of those teams. And again, like, I'm not an expert with the other 15 teams in the Big 12. But I can also tell you that I have not seen any big name super splashes that have occurred for those other programs. Meanwhile, ASU added Kanye Udoh to a backfield that already had a lot returning besides Cam Skattebo. This is going to be a good duo, man. They should be the best in the Big 12. That would be one of my like super early predictions, and I would be shocked if they did not end up getting to that potential. As far as the nation goes, I can't speak on the nation, man. I know a lot of running backs are gone. And like Ohio State's duo of Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson, they're gone. That was easily the best last year. So the spot for number one is open. And a lot of great running backs across the country are gone. But guys are going to step up. But ASU is going to have a chance to have one of the best in the country. Start with this. Both Kyson Brown and Kanye Udoh could be 1,000-yard runners individually. We're projecting that for Kyson. We have seen it with Kanye. We see an offense that continually puts out 1,000-yard runners and continually has very, very good running games, with the exception of a miserable 2023 season and the 2020 season with 4 games. Otherwise, ASU, more often than not, is one of the better running teams in whatever conference they're playing. They know what they're doing. They're going to be just fine. Someone's running for 1,000 yards here. But you could still get 1,000 scrimmage yards between these guys. So like I said, I don't know that you're going to see a 50-50 split. I think a best case scenario is going to be like a 60-40. And let's say that you do have Udoh as the 1A here, and he gets the 60% of the carries compared to Kyson getting the 40%. Okay, well, maybe Kanye does get 1,000 running yards. Well, Kyson could still get 700-800 and a few hundred receiving as well to get him that 1,000 scrimmage yards. That is entirely within the realm of possibilities. It's not out of the question here. And vice versa. Like I said, I don't have questions about Kanye Udoh being a pass catcher just because we haven't seen it. I don't have questions. We're going to find out. I mean, spring ball's around the corner, which we'll be keeping you up to date. So if you want to stay up to date with everything, now's the time to hit subscribe and turn on notifications wherever you're getting your shows for Locked On Sun Devils, by the way. But we know that Kyson has a lot of potential to still get 1,000 scrimmage yards, even if he's not the lead guy, because he can do it through the air and do it on the ground. And there's a lot of opportunities too. Cam Skattebo is gone. The People's running back is no longer here. 293 carries have been vacated from last year. 338 touches have been vacated from last year. Someone's going to get them. Someone is going to get them. Now, keep in mind, Kyson Brown still had 73 carries last year. He still had 86 touches last year. That's not nothing. But if you were to split Skattebo's touches right down the middle, that's 169 touches each. I imagine someone's going to get 200. I wouldn't be surprised if someone was 200 carries and someone was between 150 to 170 touches. But the duo is going to be really good. And the opportunity is there. And the coaching is there. And the offense is there. It's just a matter of putting it together. One thing I want to wrap up with. There is depth behind these guys. And it's very important to remember that ASU still has crazy talent in this backfield. That's not just Kyson Brown and Kanye Udoh. Raleek Brown is back. A healthy Raleek Brown is a superstar, is a deadly weapon, especially as a pass catcher. And if Raleek Brown is 100% healthy, I would anticipate he is like the designated pass catcher on this team. I would still take Kyson to be the pass catcher over Kanye Udoh, but if Raleek Brown plays every game, he can catch 50 passes and I wouldn't blink an eye. Jason Brown, redshirt freshman. We only saw him one game last year, but that's a 4-star kid from the 2024 recruiting cycle. There's every opportunity for him to show that he is the future of the backfield this year. We're going to wait and see. Alton McCaskill's still here, by the way. We didn't see him very much last year. He decided to run it back for his final season of college football, unless he's got one more, because I can never keep up with that stuff. Can't forget about him. And then you've got Demarius Man Robinson, the incoming freshman for ASU. This is a deep running back room. And this is an offense that likes to run the football. And this is an offense that has a terrific, borderline guru running back position coach with Shaun Aguano. There's a lot of opportunity here for ASU to feature one of the best run games in the nation, not just the Big 12 and not just over the last several years for the program. This might be one of the best running games that the country sees. And Kyson Brown could be the guy to pave the way for that. What do you guys think? Is Kyson Brown ready to be the breakout star for the Sun Devils? Let me know in the comments. You can hit me up on Twitter at RichieBrads36. The podcast is there at LO_Sun Devils. Wherever you're getting your shows, hit like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. You'll get the update whenever we post new content. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys for tuning in to make Locked On Sun Devils your first listen of the day. And a shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. We're going to be back again tomorrow, guys, because I tell you what, we have spring practices coming up next week. I am going to be at as many of those practices as I can. When I am at the practices, we will go live later that night so I can go over what I saw that day for you guys. Don't have to wait until the next day. We'll talk about it later on in the evening whenever we get to those live. So now's the time to hit subscribe and especially make sure your notifications are on so you know when we go live on YouTube to talk about that stuff. So I'll keep you posted. We'll be back again tomorrow to have more conversations before we turn pretty much our whole attention to spring ball. Till then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.